Why your life feels heavy and how Japanese minimalism fixes it. Ever feel like you're drowning in stuff but still somehow feel empty inside? Like your home is packed with things you barely use, your schedule is overflowing with commitments you don't really care about, and your mind just won't stop racing? What if we told you there's an ancient approach that could help you breathe again? The weight we're all carrying. Let's be honest for a second. Most of us wake up feeling tired before the day even starts. We look around our bedrooms and see piles of clothes we forgot we owned, gadgets we bought on impulse, books we swore we'd read but never did. Then we grab our phones and immediately get hit with notifications, emails, messages, and an endless stream of things demanding our attention. Before we've even had breakfast, we're already overwhelmed. This heaviness isn't just about physical clutter, though that's definitely part of it. It's deeper than that. We feel heavy because we're constantly being told we need more. More success, more productivity, more experiences, more possessions. Social media shows us highlight reels of other people's lives, and suddenly ours feels inadequate. We buy things thinking they'll make us happy, but the joy fades faster than we expected. Then we're back to scrolling, searching for the next thing that might fill the void. Studies have shown that the average American home contains around 300,000 items. That's not a typo. 300,000 things. And here's the kicker. We only use about 20% of what we own on a regular basis. The rest just sits there, collecting dust and somehow making us feel guilty. We know we should organize it, donate it, deal with it, but we never quite get around to it, so it stays, quietly adding to that feeling of heaviness that follows us around. But here's what's interesting. This weight isn't just making us feel stressed. Research from Princeton University found that physical clutter actually competes for our attention, making it harder for our brains to focus. When we're surrounded by chaos, our mental energy gets scattered. We become less productive, more anxious, and frankly, more exhausted. The stuff we thought would make our lives better is actually making everything harder. Enter Japanese minimalism. So, what's the solution? Well, there's this beautiful approach that comes from Japan, and it's not about throwing everything away or living in an empty white box. Japanese minimalism is something completely different. It's about understanding what truly matters and making space for it, both physically and mentally. The Japanese have been practicing this for centuries, way before minimalism became a trendy hashtag. It's woven into their culture through concepts like which means appreciating empty space, and kanso, which is about simplicity and elimination of clutter. These aren't just design principles, they're ways of living that help people find peace in a chaotic world. Think about traditional Japanese homes for a moment. They're not filled with tons of furniture and decorations. Instead, they have clean lines, natural materials, and plenty of open space. Every item has a purpose and a place. Nothing is random or excessive. And the result? These spaces feel calming, almost meditative. You walk in and immediately feel like you can breathe deeper. That's not an accident. That's intentional design based on understanding how our environment affects our well-being. What makes Japanese minimalism different from the Western version is the philosophy behind it. In the West, minimalism sometimes feels like deprivation, like you're giving up things you love for some aesthetic ideal. But in Japan, it's about gratitude and mindfulness. It's recognizing that less actually gives us more freedom, more clarity, more energy for what we genuinely care about. It's not about sacrifice, it's about intentionality. Now, let's talk about how this actually plays out in real life, because philosophy is great, but we need practical stuff too. Japanese minimalism shows up in several beautiful practices that anyone can adopt, regardless of where they live or what their lifestyle looks like. First, there's this concept called danshari. It's a three-step approach that translates roughly to refuse, dispose, and separate. Basically, it means refusing to bring unnecessary things into your life, getting rid of what you don't need, and detaching from the idea that you are what you own. It sounds simple, but it's honestly revolutionary when you start applying it. Before buying something new, you pause and ask yourself if you really need it or if you're just buying it because you're bored or trying to feel better. Most of the time, that pause is enough to stop unnecessary purchases. Then there's wabi-sabi, which is all about finding beauty in imperfection and impermanence. In a world that's obsessed with perfection and constantly upgrading to the latest model, wabi-sabi reminds us that things don't need to be perfect to be valuable. That chipped mug your grandmother gave you, it has character and history. Those worn-in jeans that fit just right, they're comfortable and familiar. We don't need to constantly chase the new and shiny. There's real beauty in things that have lived a little. Another practice is the idea of ichigo ichie, which means one time, one meeting. It's about treasuring each moment because it will never come again in exactly the same way. This mindset helps us focus on experiences rather than possessions. Instead of buying more stuff, we invest in meaningful moments with people we care about. We pay attention to what's happening right now instead of constantly planning for some future that might never come. And perhaps most importantly, there's this emphasis on quality over quantity. Japanese minimalism encourages us to own fewer things, but make sure those things are well made and meaningful. Instead of having 10 cheap shirts that fall apart after a few washes, you have 3 really good ones that last for years. This isn't just better for your wallet and the environment, it actually makes you appreciate what you have more. The transformation that happens when people start embracing these principles, something shifts. It's not an overnight transformation, but gradually that heaviness starts to lift. Your home becomes a place that actually relaxes you instead of stressing you out. You walk through your front door after a long day and feel your shoulders drop because everything around you is intentional and calm. Your schedule starts to clear up too. When you stop saying yes to everything and start being selective about commitments, you suddenly have time for things that actually matter. Maybe that's spending an evening reading without feeling guilty, or having a long conversation with a friend without checking your phone every 5 minutes, or finally starting that hobby you've been putting off for years. The space in your calendar becomes just as valuable as the space in your home. And here's something people don't always expect. Your decision-making gets easier. When you're not overwhelmed by options and stuff, your mind becomes clearer. Research shows that we make thousands of decisions every single day, and each one takes a tiny bit of mental energy. When you simplify your environment and your commitments, you preserve that energy for decisions that actually matter. You become more focused, more creative, more present. There's also this surprising emotional benefit. As you let go of things you've been holding onto out of guilt or obligation, you start feeling lighter emotionally too. Those clothes that don't fit anymore but you keep thinking you'll lose weight for, letting them go means letting go of that self-criticism. That expensive gadget you never use but feel bad about wasting money on, donating it means forgiving yourself and moving forward. Physical decluttering often leads to emotional decluttering, and that's incredibly freeing. Starting your own journey. The beautiful thing about Japanese minimalism is that you don't have to go all in at once. You don't need to throw away half your belongings this weekend or commit to never buying anything again. It's about gradual, mindful changes that fit your life and your needs. Start small. Maybe pick one drawer or one shelf and go through it slowly. Hold each item and ask yourself if it serves a purpose or brings you joy. If it doesn't do either, thank it for its service and let it go. That gratitude part is important in Japanese culture. You're not just tossing things in the trash and feeling wasteful. You're acknowledging what these items gave you and releasing them to potentially serve someone else. Pay attention to what you're bringing into your life too. Before you buy something, wait a day or two. See if you still want it or if it was just an impulse. Think about where you'll keep it and whether you're willing to take care of it. These small pauses can prevent so much future clutter and regret. And remember,
This isn't about achieving some perfect minimalist aesthetic that looks good on Instagram. It's about creating a life that feels good to you. Maybe you love collecting vintage records, or you have a huge library of books that genuinely brings you happiness. That's fine. Japanese minimalism isn't about arbitrary rules. It's about being intentional and mindful about what you choose to keep in your life. The life you're looking for. Here's what we've learned through all of this. That heaviness you're feeling, it's real, and it makes total sense given the world we're living in. But it doesn't have to be permanent. Japanese minimalism offers us a different way forward, one that's been tested over centuries and proven to create more peace, more clarity, and, honestly, more happiness. When we strip away the excess and focus on what truly matters, life becomes lighter. Not because we have less, but because we have exactly what we need and nothing more. We have space to breathe, time to think, and energy to invest in the people and pursuits that actually fulfill us. That's not deprivation, that's freedom. So maybe today's the day you start. Not with some massive overhaul, but with one small mindful choice. One drawer, one decision, one moment of intentionality. Because that's really all it takes to begin shifting from heavy to light, from overwhelmed to peaceful, from scattered to centered. The life you're looking for isn't buried under more stuff or hidden in the next purchase. It's already here, just waiting for you to clear away everything that's covering it up.